Hey, I'm Duck YouTube. Welcome back to a new video with Rams fan YT. In today's video, we've got part 2 of who is that statue outside your club. This one will be slightly longer than part 1 because I didn't precisely get halfway last time, but it shouldn't be too long, probably around about maybe 45 minutes to an hour. So join me in this ride over some colourful and amazing characters throughout the past of football. Starting with Bobby Robson. His career included periods playing for and later managing the England national team, and being a UEFA Cup winning manager at Ipswich Town. Robson's professional playing career as an inside forward spanned nearly 20 years, during which he played for 3 clubs, which were Fulham, West Bromwich Albion, and briefly Vancouver Royals. He also made 20 appearances for England, scoring 4 goals. After his playing career, he found success as both a club and international manager, winning league championships in both the Netherlands and Portugal, earning trophies in England and Spain, and taking England to the semi-finals of the 1990 FIFA World Cup, which remained the national team's best run in the World Cup since 1966 until they reached the semi-finals of the 2018 World Cup. His last management role was a mentor to the manager of the Republic of Ireland national team, while his final official club job was at boyhood club Newcastle United, whom he left in 2004. He held several managerial positions outside of England, most notably 1 year at Barcelona in 1996-97, as well as stints at PSV, Sporting Club de Portugal, and Porto. Robson was created a Knight Bachelor in 2002, was inducted as a member of the English Football Hall of Fame in 2003, and was the honorary president of Ipswich Town from 1991 onwards. He suffered from, that's completely wrong. From 1991 onwards, he suffered recurrent medical problems with cancer. And in March 2008, he put his name and efforts into the Sir Bobby Robson Foundation, a cancer research charity, which has so far raised over £12 million, although that's from March 2018, so it may have been much higher than that. In August 2008, his lung cancer was confirmed to be terminal, and he said, "My condition is described as static and has not altered since my last bout of chemotherapy. I'm going to die sooner rather than later, but then everyone has to go sometime, and I've enjoyed every minute." He died just under a year later, thoroughly enjoying his life. On to another England manager this time with Alf Ramsey. As a player, he represented the England national team and captained the side, but he is best known for his time as England manager from 1963 to 1974, which included guiding them to victory in the 1966 FIFA World Cup, and he was knighted in 1967 in recognition of a World Cup win. Ramsey also managed his country to 3rd place in the 1968 European Championship and the quarter-finals of the 1970 World Cup and the 1972 European Championship. As a player, Ramsey was a defender and a member of England's 1950 World Cup squad. Ramsey was born and raised in a quiet Essex village, and he showed sporting promise from an early age. And after serving in the British Army during the Second World War, embarked on a football career, primarily as a right-back. He was considered as a rather slow but accomplished player with a tremendous grasp of the tactical side of the game. Nicknamed the General, he played for England 32 times between 1948 and 1953, captained the side 3 times, scoring 3 times, and appearing in the 1950 World Cup. He played his club football for Southampton and Tottenham Hotspur and was part of the Tottenham side but won the English League Championship in the 1950-51 season. Ramsey retired from playing aged 35 to become manager of Ipswich Town, then in the 3rd tier of English football. Ipswich rode through the divisions over the next 6 years, winning the 3rd Division South in 1956-57 and the 2nd Division in 1960-61. In the 1961-62 season, Ipswich's first ever campaign in the top division, Ramsey's team defied expectations to become champions of England. Ramsey took charge of the England team a year later. In a distinct break with common practice of the day, he used a narrow formation that led to his England side being dubbed the Wingless Wonders. England's World Cup victory at Wembley in 1966 made Ramsey a national hero, though he had his critics both at the time and since. He lost the England job acrimoniously following the team's failure to qualify for the 1974 World Cup. After managing England, Ramsey briefly held football-related roles at Birmingham City and Panathinaikos, or something like that, before retiring in 1979-80. He led a somewhat reclusive life in Ipswich over the next 2 decades and died in 1999, aged 79. A statue of Ramsey was dedicated at the reconstructed Wembley Stadium in 2009, and various honours have been afforded to him in Ipswich. He is the first person to have been inducted into the English Football Hall of Fame twice, an inaugural inductee in 2002 in recognition of his achievements as a manager, and admitted again in 2010 for his achievements as a player. He remains widely regarded as one of British football's all-time great managers. Ted Bates. He was a former Southampton Football Club player, manager, director and president, which earned him the nickname Mr. Southampton. Ted was the son of Eddie Bates, who played cricket for Yorkshire and Glamorgan and football for Bolton Wanderers and Leeds United. And he was the grandson of Billy Bates, who was one of the finest all-rounders for England in the early years of international cricket. Stanley Matthews. I have huge respect for this player. He played as an outside right and is often regarded as one of the greatest players of the British game. He is the only player to have been knighted while still playing football, as well as being the first winner of both the European Footballer of the Year and the Football Writers Association Footballer of the Year awards. His nicknames include the Wizard of a Dribble and the Magician. Matthews kept fit enough to play at the top level until he was 50 years old. He was the oldest player ever to play in England's top football division of 50 years and 5 days, and the oldest player ever to represent the country at 42 years and 104 days. He was also an inaugural inductee to the English Football Hall of Fame in 2002 to honour his contribution to the English game. Matthews spent 19 years with Stoke City, playing for the Potters from 1932 to 1947, and again from 1961 to 1965. He helped Stoke to the second division title in 1932-33 and 1962-63, and between his 2 spells at Stoke, he spent 14 years with Blackpool, where, after being on the losing side in the 1948 and 1951 FA Cup finals, he helped Blackpool to win the cup with a formidable personal performance in the so-called Matthews Final of 1953. In 1956, he was named the winner of the inaugural Ballon d'Or, a prize given to the best European footballer each year. Between 1934 and 1957, he won 54 caps for England, playing in the FIFA World Cup in 1950 and 1954, and winning 9 British Home Championship titles. Following an unsuccessful stint as Port Vale's general manager between 1965 and 1968, he travelled around the world, coaching enthusiastic amateurs. The most notable of his coaching experiences came in 1975 in South Africa, where, in spite of the harsh apartheid laws of the time, he established an all-black team in Soweto known as Stan's Men. Gordon Banks. He made 679 appearances during a 20-year professional career and won 73 caps for England, highlighted by starting every game of the nation's 1966 World Cup victory. Banks actually started his career in Chesterfield in March 1953 and played for their youth team in the 1956 FA Youth Cup final. He made his first team debut in November 1958 and was sold to Leicester City for £7,000 in July 1959. He played in 4 cup finals for the club as they were beaten in the 1961 and 1963 FA Cup finals before winning the League Cup in 1964 and finishing as finalists in 1965. Despite this success, and his World Cup win in 1966, Banks was dropped by Leicester and sold on to Stoke City for £50,000 in April 1967. In the 1970 World Cup, he made one of the game's greatest ever saves, which you probably have heard the commentary of many a time, so I won't play it, to prevent a Pelé goal, but was absent due to illness as England were beaten by West Germany at the quarter-final stage. Banks was Stoke City's goalkeeper in the 1970 League Cup win, the club's only major honour, and he was still Stokes and England's number one when a car crash in October 1972 cost him both the sight in his right eye and eventually his professional career. He played 2 last seasons for the United States for the Fort Lauderdale Strikers in 1977 and 1978, and despite only having vision in one eye, he was the NASL Goalkeeper of the Year in 1977, after posting the best defensive record in the league. I think that just shows you how amazing he was. He briefly entered management with Telford United, but left the game in December 1980. Regarded as one of the greatest goalkeepers of all time, Banks was named FWA Footballer of the Year in 1972, and was named FIFA Goalkeeper of the Year on 6 occasions. The IFFHS named Banks the second best goalkeeper of the 20th century after Lev Yashin and head of Dino Zoff. Johnny Haynes. He made 56 appearances for his country, including 22 of those as captain. He was selected for 3 World Cup finals squads, playing in the latter of those 2. Or playing in the latter 2 of those, whatever you want to call it. Nicknamed the Maestro, his attacking play was noted for 2-footed passing ability, vision, and deftness of touch. Haynes is widely regarded as Fulham's greatest ever player, remaining loyal there for 20 years, despite coming no nearer to a major trophy winner than 2 FA Cup semi-final appearances. Immediately following the abolition of a £20 maximum wage in 1961, he became the first player to be paid £100 a week. He also had a spell on loan with Toronto City in 1961 and ended his playing career days at Durban City, winning the only trophy he won in his football career. Tiari Henry. He is a French professional football coach and former football player who is an assistant coach for the Belgium national team. He is considered one of the greatest strikers of all time and one of the greatest players in the history of the Premier League. In 2003 and 2004, Henry was the runners-up, was the runners-up for the FIFA World Player of the Year and was runner-up for the Ballon d'Or in the former year. He was named the PFA Players Player of the Year twice, the FWA Footballer of the Year 3 times, and was named in the PFA Team of the Year 6 consecutive times. It was also included in the FIFA Pro World 11 once and the UEFA Team of the Year 5 times. He was one of the most commercially marketed footballers during the 2000s. Henry, along with Shearer, was one of the inaugural inductees into the Premier League Hall of Fame in 2021. Henry made his professional debut in Monaco in 1994, before signing for defending Serie A champions Juventus. However, limited playing time coupled with disagreements with the club's hierarchy led to him signing for English Premier League club Arsenal for £11 million in 1999. Under long-term mentor and coach Arsene Wenger, Henry became a prolific striker and Arsenal's all-time lead scorer with 228 goals in all competitions. He won the Premier League Golden Boot, a record 4 times, won 2 FA Cups and 2 Premier League titles with the club, including one during an unbeaten season dubbed the Invincibles. He spent his final 2 seasons with Arsenal as club captain, leading them to the 2006 UEFA Champions League final. In June 2007, he transferred to Barcelona. In the 2008-9 season, Henry was a key part of the club's historic treble when they won La Liga, the Copa del Rey, and the UEFA Champions League. In 2010, he joined New York Red Bulls of Major League Soccer, but returned to Arsenal on loan for 2 months in 2012, before retiring in 2014. Henry enjoyed sustained success with France, winning the 1998 FIFA World Cup, UEFA Euros 2000, and 2003 FIFA Confederations Cup. He was named the French Player of the Year a record 5 times. He was also named to the UEFA Euro 2000 Team of the Tournament, awarded both the 2003 FIFA Confederations Cup Golden Ball and Golden Shoe, and was named to the 2006 FIFA World Cup All-Star Team. In October 2007, he became his country's record goalscorer. After amassing 123 appearances and 51 goals, Henry retired from international football after the 2010 FIFA World Cup. After retiring, Henry transitioned into coaching. He began coaching Arsenal's youth teams in February 2015, in tandem with his work as a pundit for Sky Sports. In 2016, he was appointed as an assistant coach at Belgium before assuming the role as the head coach at former club Monaco in 2018. He was relieved of his duties at Monaco in January 2019 and returned to the MLS less than a year later to manage Montreal Impact. He left Montreal to the playoffs in the 2020 season before stepping down to be close to his children in England. Dennis Bergkamp. Originally a wide midfielder, Bergkamp was moved to main striker and then to second striker, where he remained throughout his playing career. Nicknamed the non-flying Dutchman by Arsenal supporters due to his fear of flying, Bergkamp is widely regarded as one of the greatest players of his generation. The son of an electrician, Bergkamp was born in Amsterdam and played as an amateur in the lower leagues. He was spotted by Ajax at age 11 and made his professional debut in 1986. Prolific form led to an international call-up with the Netherlands a year later, attracting the attention of several European clubs, and Bergkamp signed for the Italian club Inter Milan in 1993, where he had 2 underwhelming seasons. After joining Arsenal in 1995, he rejuvenated his career, helping the club to win 3 Premier League titles, 4 FA Cup trophies, and reach the 2006 UEFA Champions League final, which marked his last appearance as a player. Despite noting a desire to not go into coaching, Bergkamp served as an assistant at Ajax between 2011 and 2017. With the Netherlands national team, Bergkamp was selected for Euro 1992, where he impressed, scoring 3 goals as his country reached the semi-finals. At the 1998 FIFA World Cup, he scored a memorable winning goal in the final minute of the quarter-final against Argentina, which has been regarded as one of the greatest FIFA World Cup goals. Bergkamp surpassed Fars Wilke's record for the country's top scorer of all time in 1998. A record later eclipsed by Patrick Kluivert and Klaas-Jan Huntelaar and Robin van Persie. Bergkamp has been described by Jan Mulder as having the finest technique of any Dutch international and a dream for a striker by teammate Tiari Henry. Bergkamp finished 3rd twice in the FIFA World Player of the Year award and was selected by Pelé as one of the FIFA 100 greatest living players. In 2007, he was inducted into the English Football Hall of Fame, the first and only Dutch player ever to receive the honour. Bergkamp was inducted into the Premier League Hall of Fame in 2021. In 2017, Bergkamp's goal against Newcastle United in 2002 was voted as the best Premier League goal of all time in the league's 25-year history. Herbert Chapman. Though he had an undistinguished playing career, he went on to become one of the most influential and successful managers in the early 20th century, before his sudden death in 1934. He is regarded as one of the game's greatest innovators. As a player, Chapman played for a variety of clubs at Football League and non-league levels. His record was generally unremarkable as a player. He made fewer than 40 league appearances over the course of a decade and did not win any major honours. Instead, he found success as a manager. First at Northampton Town between 1908 and 1912, whom he led to a Southern League title, and this attracted the attention of larger clubs, and he moved to Leeds City, where he started to improve the team's fortunes before the First World War intervened. After the war ended, City were implicated in an illegal payment scandal and were eventually disbanded. Chapman was initially banned from football but successfully appealed. He took over at Huddersfield Town, winning an FA Cup and 2 First Division titles in a period of 4 years. In 1925, Arsenal successfully tempted Chapman to join them, and he led the club to the first ever silverware by winning 1 FA Cup and 2 First Division titles. His work at Arsenal resulted in them becoming the dominant team of the 1930s. They won 5 league titles and 2 FA Cups in the decade before the suspension of football, due to the outbreak of World War II, but he did not live to see them to do so, dying suddenly from pneumonia in 1934 at the age of 55. He is credited with improving Arsenal. He introduced new tactics such as the WM formation, which forms the core of most modern-day formations, and training techniques to the game, and the use of physiotherapists. He led the team rather than letting board members lead. He also used floodlighting, European club competitions, and numbered shirts, and has received many posthumous honours in recognition. Tony Adams. As a player, Adams played for Arsenal and England, captaining both teams. In 2019, he was named president of the Rugby Football League, completely unrelated to his actual career. They just choose celebrities, really. Adams spent his entire playing career of 19 years as a centre-back at Arsenal. He is considered one of the greatest Arsenal players of all time by the club's own fans, and was included in the Football League 100 Legends. With Arsenal, he won 4 top-flight division titles, uniquely captaining a title-winning team in 3 different decades. He also won 3 FA Cups, 2 Football League Cups, a UEFA Cup Winners' Cup, and 2 FA Community Shields. A statue honouring Adams was unveiled at the Emirates Stadium on the 9th of December 2011, along with statues of Tiari Henry and Herbert Chapman, as just mentioned. He won 66 caps for England between 1987 and 2000 and played at 4 major tournaments. When his playing career finished, Adams went into football management, spending periods in charge of Wycombe Wanderers, Portsmouth, Azerbaijani side Gabala, and Spanish side Granada. Billy Bremner. He was a Scottish professional footballer and manager known for his strength, skills, and compact constitution. A midfielder, he played for Leeds United from 1959 to 1976 and captained the side during this time, which was the most successful period of the club's history. At Leeds, he won the First Division in 1968-69 and 1973-74, the Second Division in 1963-64, the Intercities Fairs Cup in 1968 and 1971, the FA Cup in 1972, the League Cup in 1968, and the FA Charity Shield in 1969. The club also finished second in numerous competitions, being runners-up 5 times in the English League and 7 times in cup finals, including the 1975 European Cup. It was also named as the FWA Footballer of the Year in 1970 and was listed on the PFA Team of the Year in 1973-74. He has since been voted Leeds United's greatest player of all time and has a statue outside the southeast corner of their Ellen Road Stadium. He has also been inducted into the Football League 100 Legends and is a member of both the English Football Hall of Fame and the Scottish Football Hall of Fame. He spent the period from 1976 to 1978 at Hull City before being appointed player-manager at Doncaster Rovers in November 1978. He spent 7 years at the helm, guiding the club to promotion out of the 4th Division in 1980-81 and 1983-84, before he took the manager's job at Leeds United in October 1985. He could not get the club promoted back to into the top flight and left the club in September 1988. He returned to Doncaster in July 1989, ending his second spell in charge in November 1991. He is on the Scotland national football team at Roll of Honour for having won more than 50 caps for Scotland. He captained his country at the 1974 FIFA World Cup, where Scotland failed to advance from the group stage despite being unbeaten in the competition. Don Revie. Best known for a successful spell with Leeds United from 1961 until 1974, which immediately preceded his appointment as England manager. A forward, he began his career with Leicester City in August 1944, before a £19,000 move to Hull City in November 1949. He was sold on to Manchester City in October 1951 for a fee of £25,000, where he became the main focus of the Revie plan, which saw him named as FWA Footballer of the Year in 1954-55, after innovating the role of the first deep-lying centre-forward in England. Sorry about that. He won the FA Cup in 1956, having finished on the losing side in the 1955 final. He was brought by Sunderland for £22,000 in October 1956, before moving on to Leeds United in November 1958 for a £14,000 fee. In total, he scored 108 goals in 501 league and cup appearances in an 18-year professional career, also scoring 4 goals in 6 England appearances, as well as winning representative honours for the Football League 11 and the England B team. In March 1961, Revie was appointed player-manager of Leeds United, then a second division club who had never won a major trophy. Under Revie's management, Leeds became a major force in English football, winning the second division in 1963-64, the first division in 1968-69 and 1973-74, the FA Cup in 1972, the League Cup in 1968, the FA Charity Shield in 1969, and the Intercities Fairs Cup in 1968 and 1971. Additionally, Leeds were football first division runners-up 5 times, 3 times FA Cup runners-up, and runners-up in the Intercities Fairs Cup and the European Cup Winners' Cup. In July 1974, he accepted the job as England manager, but had an unsuccessful 3 years in the role before quitting in highly controversial circumstances to take up the management role with the United Arab Emirates. He later had spells in Middle Eastern football club football with Al Nassr and Al Ahly. As Leeds manager, he was criticised for the physical and often negative approach of his teams. Though the period was noted for its highly physical football across the country, and his resignation as England manager fueled criticism of him as money-obsessed, and unproved allegations of bribery and financial misconduct also tarnished his reputation. He retired in 1984, but was diagnosed with neuro disease in May 1987, which led to his death 2 years later. He remains a highly popular figure in Leeds and is a stand named after him at Ellen Road, as well as a statue outside the ground. Dixie Dean. You may have actually heard of this guy recently because Harry Kane surpassed his record recently. But he is regarded as one of the greatest centre-forwards actually of all time, and was inducted into the English Football Hall of Fame in 2002. Born in Birkenhead, he began his career at his hometown club, Tranmere Rovers, before moving on to Everton, the club he had supported as a child. A prolific goalscorer, he was particularly known for having a penchant for scoring goals with his head, courtesy of his elevation and athleticism, as well as his powerful and accurate heading ability, which has led pundits to describe him as one of the greatest aerial specialists of all time. Dean played the majority of his career at Everton before injuries caught up with him and he moved on to new challenges at Notts County. He is best known for his exploits during the 1927-28 season, which saw him score a record 60 league goals. He also scored 18 goals in 16 appearances for England. A statue of Dean was unveiled outside Goodison Park in May 2001. A year later, he became one of 22 players inducted into the inaugural English Football Hall of Fame. Dee was the first Everton player to wear the number 9 shirt. Jimmy Hill. His career included almost every role in the sport, including player, trade union leader, coach, manager, director, chairman, television executive, presenter, pundit, analyst, and assistant referee. A wide and varied collection of talents, and that's what I mean by colourful when I introduced this episode. He began his playing career at Brentford in 1949 and moved to Fulham 3 years later. As chairman of the Professional Footballers Association, he successfully campaigned for an end to the Football League's maximum wage in 1961. After retiring as a player, he took over as manager of Coventry City, modernising the team's image and guiding them from 3rd to 1st Division. In 1967, he began a career in football broadcasting, and from 1973 to 1988 was host of the BBC's Match of the Day. Bill Shankly. He is best known for his time as manager of Liverpool. Shankly brought success to Liverpool, gaining promotion to the 1st Division and winning 3 league championships and the UEFA Cup. He laid foundations on which his successors Bob Paisley and Joe Fagan were able to build by winning 7 league titles and 4 European Cups in the 10 seasons after Shankly retired in 1974. A charismatic, iconic figure at the club, his oratory stirred the emotions of the fan base. In 2019, 60 years after Shankly arrived at Liverpool, Tony Evans of The Independent wrote, Shankly created the idea of Liverpool, transforming the football club by emphasising the importance of a cop and making supporters feel like participants. Shankly came from a small Scottish mining community and was one of 5 brothers who played football professionally. He played as a ball-winning right half and was capped 12 times with Scotland, including 7 wartime internationals. He spent 1 season at Carlisle United before spending the rest of his career at Preston North End, with whom he won the FA Cup in 1938. His playing career was interrupted by his service in the Royal Air Force during the Second World War. He became a manager after he retired from playing in 1949, returning to Carlisle United. He later managed Grimsby Town, Workington and Huddersfield Town before moving to become Liverpool manager in December 1959. Shankly took charge of Liverpool when they were in the 2nd Division and rebuilt the team into a major force in English and European football. He led Liverpool to the 2nd Division Championship to gain promotion to the top flight 1st Division in 1962, before going on to win 3 1st Division Championships, 2 FA Cups, 4 Charity Shields and 1 UEFA Cup. It was during Shankly's reign the club changed to an all-red home strip, and You'll Never Walk Alone became the club's anthem. Shankly announced his surprise retirement from football a few weeks after Liverpool had won the 1974 FA Cup final, having managed the club for 15 years, and was succeeded by his long-time assistant Bob Paisley. He led the Liverpool team out for the last time at Wembley for the 1974 FA Charity Shield. He died 7 years later, aged 68. Considered one of the greatest managers in the sport, Shankly was among the integral inductees into the English Football Hall of Fame in 2002 and the Scottish Football Hall of Fame in 2004. William Mcgregor. He was a Scottish Association football administrator in the Victorian era, who was regarded as the founder of a football league, the first organised association football league in the world. After moving from Perthshire to Birmingham to set up business as a draper, Mcgregor became involved with local football club Aston Villa, which he helped to establish as one of the leading teams in England. He served the club for over 20 years in various capacities, including president, director and chairman, and in 1888, frustrated by regular cancellation of Villa's matches, Mcgregor organised a meeting of representatives of England's leading clubs, which led to the formation of the Football League, giving member clubs a guaranteed fixture list each season. This was instrumental in the transition of football from an amateur pastime to a professional business. Mcgregor served as both chairman and president of the Football League and was also chairman of the Football Association. He was recognised by the FA for his service to the game shortly before his death in 1911 and was posthumously honoured by the local football authorities and Aston Villa. Tom Finney. He played from 1946 to 1960 as an outside left for Preston North End and England. He is widely acknowledged to have been one of the sport's greatest ever players. He was noted for his loyalty to Preston, for whom he made 569 first-class appearances, and for many outstanding performances in the international matches. In later life, Finney was club president of both Preston and non-league Kendal Town. For his charitable work, he was appointed an officer of the Order of the British Empire in the 1961 New Year's Honours, and a commander of the Order of the British Empire in 1992 New Year Honours, and was knighted in the 1998 New Year Honours. Duncan Edwards. He played for Manchester United and the England national team, and he was one of the Busby Babes. The young United team formed under manager Matt Busby in the mid-1950s. Playing 177 matches for the club, he was noted for his physical strength, toughness, and level of authority on the pitch, and has been ranked among the toughest players of all time. One of the 8 players who died as a result of the Munich air disaster, he survived initially, but succumbed to his injuries in hospital 2 weeks later. Many of his contemporaries described him as one of the best players with whom they have played. Born in Woodside, Dudley, Edwards signed for Manchester United as a teenager and went on to become the youngest player to play in the Football League First Division, and at the time the youngest England player since the Second World War, going on to play 18 times for his country at top level. In a professional career of less than 5 years, he helped United to win 2 Football League championships and 2 FA Charity Shields, and reached the semi-finals of the European Cup. Hughie Michelmoyle. He played as centre-forward for Port Glasgow and in the Football League for Leicester City, Rotherham United, Carlisle United, Wolverhampton Wanderers, Bristol City, Middlesbrough and Preston North End, and in the Scottish Football League for Greenock Morton. George Hardwick. During his time as an active player, he was a left-sided defender for Middlesbrough. He was also a member of the England national football team, playing in 13 international matches and serving as the team's first post-World War II captain in all 13 of those matches, the only England player to be captain in every game. In 1947, the nations of Great Britain joined to form a football team, with which Hardwick captained and led to victory 6-1 against the rest of Europe. Owing to a knee injury, Hardwick had to terminate his international career after 12 matches. He is held in high esteem by Middlesbrough fans and is regarded as the greatest defender in the club's history. After his career as a player, Hardwick served as player-manager for Oldham Athletic and manager for PSV Eindhoven, and for 6 months in 1957 the Netherlands national football team. He later managed Sunderland and Gateshead. Today his legacy lives on in the form of the George Hardwick Foundation, a charity dedicated to help carers, former carers and patients. The patron is his wife Jennifer, who cared for George during his latter years. They have 3 main sites at Stockton, Middlesbrough and the University Hospital of North Tees. Wilf Mannion. He played as an inside forward, making over 350 senior appearances for Middlesbrough. He also played international football for England. With his blonde hair, he was nicknamed the Golden Boy. Bob Stokoe. He was able, almost uniquely, to transcend the traditional north-east animosity between the region's footballing rivals, Newcastle United and Sunderland. As a player, he won an FA Cup winners' medal with Newcastle in 1955, and in 1973 was manager of Sunderland in their famous victory over Leeds United during the FA Cup final. Stan Mortensen. He was most famous for his part in the 1953 FA Cup final, subsequently known as the Matthews final. Maybe it should have been known as the Mortensen final. Let me know if it should, or whether I should have said something extremely controversial on camera in the comments below. But in this final, he became the only player ever to score a hat-trick in a Wembley FA Cup final. He was also both the first player to score for England in a FIFA World Cup qualifying campaign and the first England player to score in the tournament proper. Jackie Milburn. He was primarily associated with Newcastle United in England, though he also spent 4 seasons at Linfield. He was also known as War Jackie, particularly in the northeast of England. He was cousin to the mother of Jack and Bobby Charlton. Milburn played 2 trial matches at St James's Park as a 19-year-old boy in 1943. In the second of these, he scored 6 second-half goals. Milburn made his competitive debut in the FA Cup in the 1945-46 season and was initially deployed on the left wing as a supplier to Charlie Wayman. However, Wayman was dropped before a 4-0 defeat to eventual winners Charlton Athletic in the 1947 FA Cup semi-final, and when he afterwards vowed not to play for United again, manager George Martin made the decision to switch Milburn to centre-forward. In his next match on the 18th of October 1947, Milburn wore the number 9 shirt for the first time and scored a hat-trick. Milburn's subsequent achievements, particularly his 2 goals which won the 1951 FA Cup final and his 45-second opener in the 1955 FA Cup final, which was the fastest ever Wembley FA Cup final goal until it was beaten by Roberto Di Matteo in 1997, brought him national recognition, and it afforded him iconic status on Tyneside. In total, Milburn played in 3 FA Cup winning finals for United: the 1951, the 1952 and 1955 FA Cups. Despite his achievements, Milburn was reportedly a very shy and self-deprecating individual, whose modesty further endeared him to Newcastle United supporters, though, according to Tom Finney, this stemmed from an innate inferiority complex, whatever that means. By the time Milburn left Newcastle in 1957, he had become the highest goalscorer in Newcastle United's history. He remained so until he was surpassed by Alan Shearer in February 2006. Milburn remains Newcastle's second highest goalscorer, having scored 200 competitive goals. Milburn's transfer to Linfield in 1957 was almost jeopardised when Newcastle's board demanded a substantial signing fee, and much to the anger of fans, Milburn was not immediately granted a testimonial. His signing for Linfield added thousands to the gate, and he made 54 appearances, scoring 68 goals in 4 seasons in all competitions for the club. He was finally granted a testimonial 10 years later, in 1967. Milburn died of lung cancer on the 9th of October 1988, aged 64. His funeral took place on the 13th of October and was attended by over 1,000 mourners at St Nicholas's Cathedral in Newcastle. Tens of thousands of people, though, lined the streets to watch the cortege pass. A statue of Milburn, costing £35,000 and paid for by donations received from Newcastle United supporters, was erected on Newcastle's Northumberland Street before it was relocated in 1999 to St James's Boulevard and then moved again to its present position on Strawberry Place, just outside St James's Park. Milburn was inducted into the English Football Hall of Fame in October 2006. In 2009, Goal.com listed Milburn as 43rd in their list of top English players of all time. Alan Shearer. Widely regarded as one of the best strikers of his generation and one of the greatest players in Premier League history, he is one of the Premier League's record goals. He is actually the Premier League's record goal scorer. He was named Football Writers Association Player of the Year in 1994 and won the PFA Player of the Year award in 1995. In 1996, he came third in both Ballon d'Or and FIFA World Player of the Year awards. In 2004, he was named by Pelé in the FIFA 100 list of the world's greatest living players. Shearer was one of the first two players to be inducted into the Premier League Hall of Fame in 2021. Shearer played his entire career in the top level of English football. He started his career at Southampton in 1988 before moving to Blackburn Rovers in 1992, where he established himself as among the most prolific goal scorers in Europe. Whilst at Blackburn Rovers, he won the 1994-95 Premier League, as well as 2 consecutive Premier League Golden Boots. In the summer of 1996, he joined his hometown club, Newcastle United, for a then world record £15 million. He led Newcastle to the 1998 FA Cup and the 1999 FA Cup finals, and eventually became the club's all-time top scorer. He retired at the end of the 2005-06 season. For the England national team, Shearer appeared 63 times and scored 30 goals. UEFA Euro 1996 was his biggest success at international football. England reached the semi-finals and Shearer was awarded the UEFA Euro Golden Boot and was named in the UEFA Euro team of the tournament. He went on to represent England at the 1998 FIFA World Cup and the UEFA Euros 2000. Shearer retired from international football following the end of the latter competition. Since retiring as a player in 2006, Shearer has worked as a television pundit for the BBC. In 2009, he briefly left his BBC role to become Newcastle United's manager in the last 8 games of the 2008-09 season, in an unsuccessful attempt to save them from relegation. Shearer is a commander of the Order of the British Empire, a deputy lieutenant of Northumberland, a freeman of Newcastle upon Tyne, and an honorary Doctor of Civil Law of Northumbria and Newcastle Universities. Derek Dooley. He lived in Sheffield for the majority of his life, taking roles at both Sheffield Wednesday and Sheffield United. He started his Football League career with Lincoln City in 1946, but made only 2 appearances for them before joining Sheffield Wednesday the following year. In his time at Hillsborough, he was a prolific goalscorer for Wednesday. Between 1950 and 1953, he scored 62 goals in 61 league games for the Owls, along with 1 goal from his 2 FA Cup appearances. His career was cut short when an infected leg had to be amputated following a serious fracture in his last match for the club. Joe Shaw. He played for Sheffield United between 1945 and 1966. He also worked as a manager, being in charge of York City from 1967 to 68 and Chesterfield from 1973 to 1976. Emilyn Hughes. He started his career in 1964 at Blackpool, before moving to Liverpool in 1967. He made 665 appearances for Liverpool and captained the side to 4 league titles and an FA Cup victory in the 1970s. Added to these domestic honours were 2 European Cups, including Liverpool's first in 1977, and 2 UEFA Cup titles. Hughes won the Football Writers Player of the Year in 1977, and Hughes completed a full set of English football domestic honours by winning the League Cup with Wolverhampton Wanderers in 1980. In addition to Wolves, he later played for Rotherham United, Hull City, Mansfield Town and Swansea City. Hughes earned 62 caps for the England national team, which he also captained. After retiring from football, he worked as a media personality, mainly with the BBC. He was made an OBE in 1980 for his services to sport. Hughes died of a brain tumour, aged 57 in 2004. Sam Bartram. He played as a goalkeeper and holds the record for the most appearances for Charlton Athletic, his only club at the professional level. Fred Keynor. He began his career at his hometown side Cardiff City after impressing the club's coaching staff in a trial match in 1912, organised by his former school teacher. A hard-tackling defender, he appeared sporadically for the team in the Southern Football League before his spell at the club was interrupted by the outbreak of the First World War. Keynor served in the 17th Service Battalion, the Middlesex Regiment, led by Major Frank Buckley, which became known here as the Football Battalion. He fought in the Battle of Somme, suffering a severe shrapnel wound to his thigh in 1916. And I know it's not quite Remembrance Day and is a bit late for it, but I think a remembrance to those who served their honours and died for us in the First World War is something we should well and truly never forget. I was watching a video about Hearts and Midlothian teams, which basically all went out in World War One as well, and we just owe our lives to them. But he returned to Britain, and after a lengthy rehabilitation, he ended the war as a physical training instructor, reaching the rank of sergeant. He also appeared as a guest player for Brentford during the war. Overcoming doubts about the possibility of playing again, Keynor returned to the game with Cardiff as they embarked on the most successful period in their history. They won promotion to the First Division one season after joining the Football League in 1920. Keynor helped the club to the 1925 FA Cup final, in which Cardiff suffered a 1-0 defeat to Sheffield United. In 1926, he replaced the departing Jimmy Blair as club captain, leading the team to success in the 1927 FA Cup final late in the season, in which they defeated Arsenal 1-0. Their triumph remains the only time the competition has been won by a team based outside of England. Keynor was released from Cardiff at the end of the 1930-31 season, which saw the club relegated to the Third Division South. During his time at Cardiff, he made more than 500 appearances for the club, winning 4 Welsh Cup titles, the FA Cup and the FA Charity Shield in a 19-year association with the side. He is regarded as one of the club's all-time greats. The statue of Keynor lifting the FA Cup was erected outside Cardiff's new ground, the Cardiff City Stadium, in November 2012, following a public fundraising campaign. Keynor finished his career with spells at Crewe Alexandra, Oswestry Town, and Tunbridge Wells Rangers. During his career, he also attained 32 caps for the Wales national football team. He helped the side win the British Home Championship 3 times in 1920, 1924 and 1928, and captained the side on numerous occasions, scoring 2 goals. Following his death in 1972, the Football Association of Wales Secretary Trevor Morris commented, "Fred Keynor will go down as one of the greatest players and greatest characters ever produced by Wales." Nat Lofthouse. I mentioned him, of course, in my last video about the history of Bolton Wanderers, which you can also go and check. All of these will be on my channel page. You just need to click on my icon down below. You can subscribe way down there as well. He played as a forward for Bolton Wanderers for his entire career. He won 33 caps for England between 1950 and 1958, scoring 30 goals, with one of the highest goals per game ratios of any England player. Roy Sproson. A one-club man, he holds the all-time appearance record for Vale, making 837 starts and 5 substitute appearances for Vale between 1950 and 1972. This includes a run of 128 consecutive appearances between April 1954 and March 1957. He is also 14th on the all-time Football League appearance list. Sproson remained with the club from its highest peaks in the early 1950s until the troughs of the last 1960s near the bottom of the English Football League. He served under 8 managers before taking the reins himself between 1974 and 1977. A relic of a bygone era when it was common for players to only play for a few clubs throughout their entire careers. His record for the club is unlikely ever to be equalled or bettered. He finished with around 350 more appearances for the club than his closest rival and teammate of 15 years, Harry Poole. Arthur Wharton, I don't know. He is widely regarded or considered to be the first black professional footballer in the world, but not the first black player outright. The amateurs Robert Walker of Queen's Park and Scotland international player Andrew Watson predate him, possibly a professional before Arthur Wharton for Bootle in 1887. It's a bit vague during that time. But Wharton may have been the first black professional and the first to play in the Football League, which I think is incredibly important. John King is widely regarded as one of the most successful managers in the history of Tranmere Rovers, and had a stand at Prenton Park named in his honour in 2002. In November 2014, a statue of King was unveiled outside the ground. He played at wing half and made 411 league appearances in a 14-year career in the Football League. He began his career at Everton, playing for the club in the top flight between 1957 and 1960. He then moved on to Tranmere Rovers via Bournemouth and Boscombe Athletic. He helped Rovers to win promotion out of the 4th Division in 1966-67, before he signed with Port Vale in June 1968. He helped the Valiants to win promotion out of the 4th Division in 1969-70, before he joined non-league Wigan Athletic in May 1971. He found more success though as a manager than as a player, gaining his first management post at a former club of his, Tranmere Rovers, in April 1975. He led the Super Whites to promotion out of the 4th Division in 1975-76, before he was sacked in September 1980. He then had successful spells in charge at non-league clubs Northwich Victoria, winning the FA Trophy in 1984, and Carnarvon Town, before making his return to Tranmere Rovers in 1987. He immediately steered the club away from losing their Football League status, before taking them to promotion in 1988-89. He further took them to the Associate Members' Cup title in 1990, the Football League Trophy final in 1991, as well as promotion out of the 3rd Division as winners of the playoffs. His team narrowly missed out on promotion to the Premier League, reaching the playoffs 3 times between 1993 and 1995, also reaching the semi-finals of the League Cup. Despite these achievements, he was not immune to being replaced when the team's form dipped, and he was moved upstairs to become Director of Football in April 1996. Jimmy Cyril. He was a Scottish football player and manager. He gained his highest profile in the latter role. Born in Glasgow, Cyril began his career with Celtic before moving to England, spending most of his playing career with Brighton and Hove Albion. Starting his management career in the 4th Division with Brentford, Cyril moved to Notts County, where he achieved promotion to the 2nd Division, and then after a spell at Sheffield United, returned to Notts County to achieve promotion to the 1st Division for the first time since 1926. He is regarded as a legend of the club, with a county road stand at Notts County Meadow Lane named after him. And finally, but not least, Jack Wheeler. He played as a goalkeeper for Cheltenham Town, Birmingham City, Huddersfield Town, and Kettering Town. It sounds as a pretty insignificant bunch of people or teams, but it's not. It's not. They are respectively quite good. But he helped Huddersfield Town actually to promotion to the 1st Division and played more than 150 matches in the Football League for the club. But what was more important was after his playing career finished, where he spent more than 25 years with Notts County in a variety of roles, including coach, trainer, caretaker, manager, and scout. And he's probably the only statue of anybody in Great Britain, I can't think of anyone else, unless anyone can tell me in the comments, of a scout. So thank you very much for watching. Please subscribe if you're new around here. That would be hugely appreciated. Got a history of Burton Albion Football Club very nearby to me. My second team, I'd probably class them as, but that's only because they're local to me. Coming up on Monday, and I'm going to do the Premier League's most improved player of 2021 from 2020. So I know this has been a long one, but goodbye for now.